Right, so you are seeing the slide now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we are saying that access control really prevents free movement, right? In terms of Jamaican term, it keep you out of the people in place, right? So it keep out unwanted visitors that would want to visit a person's home, that would want to visit a facility without having the authorized access, right? So we say these devices can either be mechanical operated electrically or motorized locks, right? So it can be a mechanical lock, an electrical lock, or a motorized lock, right? Mechanical lock in terms of deadbolt and all of these other things they use, right? But persons tend to find sophisticated way of beating these systems, right? It might be turnstiles that are the thing where you walk through, like you take library and so forth. Tube stills, mechanical and electric gates and barriers, right? And code locks and so forth, right? No, the benefits of access control is that it protects your property. That's one of the major benefits, right? When we talk about access control, the major benefit is that it protects your property, right? And in protecting your property, it protects your revenue and your assets because what you have in your home, right, is your asset, right? And you need to protect it. You need to protect your car, you need to protect your family, and so forth, right? If you have a business, you need to protect your business from unwanted visitors, right? It protects members of staff, right? So it prevents persons from actually accessing areas to commit crime and to harm members of staff. No need for keys. We have a lot of keys being cut. It always reach a point where you have to change the lock, right? Because then you can it's difficult to keep track of the amount of keys. So for large staff room areas, such as the lecturer staff room at UTech, it's better to use an access control rather than giving persons individual keys, and then at some point you're unable to track these keys, right? No, no need for security guards. Again, it eliminates that. However, most access control is controlled from some central points, like a front office. You will have access given by the admin staff that is there, and in some cases and some buildings, the security that is posted at the front. So even though you have a security, they will have a access, some form of access control mechanism, right? Management of reports, it's easier to give a report that no incident was, and also to give a report in terms of the number of access a person, if a person swipe daily, the time that this person swipe, it's very easy to extract all of this information, how much time them swipe in and out for the day, did they leave work early, them come work early, them come work late, and all of this. All of this can be extracted from a database that is controlled by access control, right? Now you have standalone magnetic lock access control that will not log this information. But as I tell you, as security increases, like in today's society, a lot of persons are tend to use data logging equipment to log their staff and visitors. All right, protect privacy, reduce operational costs, right? In terms of the lateness, right, and home and if persons leave too early, and if they swipe out at lunchtime and don't return, you can check all of this. Also, it reduces manpower in terms of the amount of security. So rather than having 5 security, you might now need to have 3 in a particular instance, right? So we reduce the overall operating cost of our facility. Now, the types of access control. Now, access control systems come in 3 major variations, right? We have the discretionary access control, or DAC, or we have the mandatory access control, or MAC, and we have the role-based access control, or RBAC, right? So these are the major areas or categories that access control will fall, right? Now, we need to explore each of them. We say a discretionary access control is a type of access control system that holds the business owner. So it not only staff it, but it holds the business owner responsible for deciding which people. So you as a staff can tell security operation that, listen, you need to give this staff access to that location. No, it takes a letter or a memo from the managing director to send to the operations personnel, security operation, to have staff access certain location. For instance, in my job capacity at UTEC as a technical officer, I would have to write through my supervisor to security operation to say that to give this staff access to a particular location, right? If the staff go to the security office to ask for access, they'll tell them that they need to get a memo from the department to implement it, all right? So this actually put the responsibility in that sense. Now, the DAC system or the DAC system is the least restrictive compared to the other systems, right? As it is essentially allows an individual complete control over any objects they own, right? Now, what that is saying is that when you are placed in a category, for instance, they normally, for this type of system, they normally set up profiles, and you will be placed in a profile. Remember, most of you would do programming, and you are placed in a particular class. This is what they are talking about. And based on that class that you are placed in, then you are given certain access, all right? So this is basically what the discretionary control does. However, they cannot give you access unless directed by the director, right? Now, complete control to a set security level settings for other users and the permission given to the end user are inherited into other programs they use, right? For instance, on UTEC, when we log in with our login, what they are saying is that depending on the class that you fall in, we're talking about programming now, you are given certain access to the system, right? So our admin staff will have certain levels of admin. Like for instance, a program secretary will have different access compared to that of a regular admin staff, right? The faculty administrator will be in a different class than the regular program secretary, right? So these are basically how we use these classes in this type of access control to give users permission, right? Then we talk about the mandatory access control, right? This is more commonly utilized in organizations that require an elevated emphasis, right? So when we talk about confidentiality, like the military and like UTEC installation, all of them basically doing the same thing, you know, but the level of security that each system will give you is dependent on the level of access control you use. Now, we are saying for the mandatory class now, this is where the classification of data come into place, right? Only the owner and custodian of the management of the access control, meaning that the manager, which will set your control access from his terminal, right? Rather than having a security operations. So this management, and this is mainly used in, as it's saying, military and other institutions where you have an hierarchy that you need to have classified data hidden from certain levels, right? The role-based access control, this is one of them. It incorporates the other two settings to give you a more secure and robust system, right? It is mainly used, right, in small and to large operations. And this is where now you have a security department and you have a security manager, and the security manager will have control and the permission to assign different access control. For instance, we are at UTEC, we send our request to the operations manager, the operations unit, the operations manager don't have time to go to the president every time somebody make request to say that this person wants access to a particular location. No, the security manager is empowered under this system to make these choices, right? So his ID, right? So like when you watch a show or something like that, so I'm making reference to a show, is able to access all the different levels on campus, right? So this person, the security director, is able to go to any office with an access control. He has a universal ID badge, right? And that is why they need to security. The security level of that person is so high, right? Because if you were able to steal this or to gain access to this badge, right, or access control device, you are able to access anywhere in a particular location. No, and this is why when used with security personnel, this type of access control is very secure, because even if you are able to gain access to the parts, then you have to pass a 1 or 2 security checkpoints, right? So in tandem in using this by itself, yes, you have some level of security, but to boost the level of security that this system have, you have individual checkpoints, right? For instance, when you go to UTEC, even before you can reach the operations manager, you have to buzz in, them have to buzz in. And then even when you are buzzing, you have to buzz in again to reach his section. So you are buzzed into the regular section where you will find the regular operation staff, but to enter the security office, the manager's office, then you have to be buzzed in again, right? So they don't take it for granted that you can just walk from the front door right to the security operations manager. Similarly, if you were to visit the president's office or even the vice president's office, you have to be buzzed in at the main building, the main entrance, and you have to log the book. Then you have to buzz in, so they don't take it for granted that you're going to go where you say you're going on. So for instance, you might say you're going to floor 1 to the finance department, right? And you want to go to the president's office to commit some illegal activity. You have to be buzzed into the president's office as well, right? So this is the role-based access control is very reliable when used in tandem with security checkpoints. All right. Now, card technology, right? We're talking about access control and the type access given to certain cards, right? So it's like barcode, right? Very easy to generate because everybody nowadays can go on the net, download a barcode generator and generate a barcode. So they are saying that it is low cost, but it also provides low security. When we talk about magnetic strips, so this is similar to your bank cards, the one that you go to your point of sale machine and stripe, and the information is actually contained in the magnetic strips. Right, so this is also low cost, and that's why they have changed it to the chip type cards. Right, so we say it's low cost, also low security. When we talk about proximity, we talk about mid-level cost, medium and high security clearance. We talk about smart cards, also mid-level cost, and medium and high-level security. When we talk about key card proximity in combination with keypad, right, we're talking about mid-level cost, but a higher security than that of the smart card and the proximity. So it's like you put the card, but you still have to punch in a code. So whether you scan or not, you're not given access, right? When we talk about biometrics now, we talk about the highest possible level of security, and I come back to the shows again, because most person watch show when they actually cut off a person's finger, right, try to get them eyeball scan and all of this to access. And we talk about high-level government facilities that utilizes these access, right? For instance, even out here, if you are to go to certain buildings, right, at some levels, you might just need your smart card, but to access some level, you would need your smart card or your proximity card along with biometrics, right? This is the only way to access certain levels. So when we talk about like national security matters and matters that are of very high importance, we talk about the highest possible security systems, all right? Now, barcode technology, as I say, anybody can go online nowadays and download a barcode generator. It employs a pattern of bars and spaces. Now, quickly, anybody know if it read actually the white or the black bar? Which one it read? When we're talking about barcode.
Block bars.
Eh?
Read the white, sir, the white.
The white, yes. So it actually read the space. It is a combination of the two. So the distances and all of these things generate a certain number. So if you were to use a QR reader and scan the bar the code, then you'll realize that it generates a particular number. A lot of time when you go to the supermarket and it's not scanning, and you see they take the device or whatever you buy and then punch in the number, they're actually punching in the number and that the barcode represents. So for example, this barcode that is here, possibly I get the image online, possibly this is the number that it is given. And for persons who don't know, a lot of their devices, right, come with a QR scanner, right, that is able to scan QR codes, so that like when you're using your WhatsApp web and so forth and you have to scan the image, your device can also scan the barcode, right? Very useful nowadays. All they tell it to do is just scan and the information, and also the device on your phone can actually create QR codes and barcode, right? So if you were to write a sentence or you write a name in particular in the program and press generate, it will generate your QR image that represents your name. Right? You can play around with it. A couple years ago, I played around a lot with it because I wanted to know the technology works. Right? So basically, this is our barcode, and nowadays we have our proximity code readers and so forth. All right, so the magnetic strip, this is basically your bank card, right? Same technology as credit cards, that's why I put that there. Magnetic strip technology requires the card to come in direct contact, right, with the reader head, right, causing wear and shorter lifespan. So after a while, you realize that even your debit cards start to give trouble. And then the funniest thing about it, you know, they know say thing your card start wear and they are charging them to replace the card. So anyway, so that's just them. But it actually was the information in the magnetic strip, right? So it's not in the card, but in the magnetic strip. So hence, if the magnetic strip becomes damaged, right, then it's difficult for the reader to pick up the information, right? So a lot of time you might see that when you go to scan your debit card, you see them rub off the card and try it again, because at some point your magnetic strip starts to wear, right? And some places tend to have alcohol to use and clean it, right? So as to for it to scan properly. So it's similar to your cards. Now, the proximity alarm, it can either come in the form of a card, proximity card, or it can come in terms of a RF signal device, such as the one shown in the image, right? So they can load it into a card, in the microchip of a card, or they can actually put it in a little device like that. So our IDs now at UTech, these are actually embedded in our cards, right? In time gone by, we would have to use a magnetic strip. Now we have moved on past magnetic strip, and we are at proximity technology. Now, The benefit of this type of technology is that it has no moving parts, right? Nothing is moving to cause any problem, no wear and tear, right? Um, no slots are read head to maintain. But the thing about this type of card is that if you have problems in the system, then you might not, it might not be able to read your card, right? So if, for instance, I know that in these type of system, like the power supply normally go bad, so instead of having the range of proximity, you have to actually hold the card directly on the device. So you don't have the proximity range anymore, and you have to actually hold it onto the device. In this case, then they just change the power supply and you're good to go again, right? So it's a very useful technology. Our proximity with our key card, right? So first you would have to scan and then you'd have to enter the pin. Now, if if the pin is incorrect, even though you have the proximity device, it will not give you access, right? So this is a combination of two that all conditions have to be met. It's not a or condition, it's an and condition. You have to have the proximity device and you have to have the right combination of keys or pins, right? You have to have the right combinations of pin, and if you have that, you still can't gain access if you don't have the proximity device, right? So this offers a much more a higher security than that of the previous proximity system, right? So some persons might have this at their workplace or their place of work, right? And a lot of time before I actually understand it, I'm saying why they need to have this and they have tags, right? But I realized after some years ago when I start to research and look into and install these systems that it's actually a combination of the two that boosts the security of the facility. All right. Biometric, right? Very difficult to fool, very difficult to bypass without having, because everybody is biometric. In this instance, whether it be a fingerprint or a eye scan is different, right? Even if you have your twin brother or sister, they will have different biometrics than you. It's going to be close, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be different, right? So your fingerprint is going to be different, and your biometric eye scan is going to be different. Now, a couple years ago, we tend to start move away from voice because persons can imitate person's voice. They can record person's voice easily with good quality and access these systems. So when we talk about biometric, the more secure is going in terms of finger and eye scan. Even the newer laptops we have on phones, we have eye scan and we have fingerprint technology. So rather than me trying to know this whole heap of password, all I need to do is scan in my fingerprint and I'm able to pull my device, right? So a lot of you with your iPhone, right, and you move bossy and just say, oh, take up your phone, touch, and your phone gone in, right? You have your Samsung, touch your phone, and you scan, and you're gone in, right? You have your laptop, scan, and you're gone into your laptop. And like me, you have to punch in the code in on my laptop, right? So we see this technology being utilized daily. This
Or there's somebody get a fingerprint from something somewhere you touch and decide to use that to
I
access.
don't know whether that I see that in a show. I don't know if it will work. If it will work in actuality, I don't know. I show me see them thing here now, so I can't say it will work in this
Most time
case.
movie is based upon on reality, you know, to make the
I don't,
show
I don't know.
come
I
alive.
watch a lot of show. I've never researched it before. Let me put it at that, right? Um, and I don't want to say yes, it can work because I see it work in a show. I don't want to say that. I know that show. Listen, enough time watch show, as a technical person, a lot of times when I'm watching movies, I have to shut down my technical brain, my engineering brain, because a lot of times you realize some things just don't make any sense.
You remember back in the days when we used to watch Star Trek? I used to see them touch it on like the screen.
Yeah.
And you never believe that that will become a reality. And it, I mean, it is a necessary. I mean, when phone technology, cellular technology comes in, it's open,
Yeah, but I'm not talking in that sense, I'm talking like when you see some things where actually, all right, for instance, most of the ear dryers that come nowadays, right, will come with a GFCI circuit in them, right? Now, when you watch show, you see them throw it into the water and and it electrocute the person they want them thing, right? Now, may you know that for a typical bathroom installation, for your building to pass, you would need to put in a GFI outlet in the bathroom, right?
There is a double standard in the system because not one of those hotels have any in it. One rule for the poor man and one for the rich.
Yeah, so by the time them throw that into the water, the thing trip the brake and the GFI outlet and the people and you see them all get shot for 2 minutes straight. And I say, but some have to kind of shut down my brain in that sense. You understand? Because I just show and you try to enjoy the show. Yeah, so you have to shut down your brain.
And that is one of the reasons why they need business passing, because fingerprinting is supposed to be a part of that technology, and people concerned about, I mean, those security aspect of it. Yeah, that someone will steal their identity, whether their fingerprint or eye scanning or anything that regarding them.
Yeah, but all you ever steal a fingerprint in this? Well, they can actually put it into the software, but in terms of the actual device, they won't be able to. I don't know if they're going to be able to reproduce it like that. They might be able to download it to the software.
Sure, you'd be amazed what these criminals are able to do. But anyway, when Parliament look at it and the Supreme Court, they recognize that there are some security concern, and that was the reason why it was not passed. So then put it to a joint thing, the committee, joint selection committee.
Yeah, man. I know, but as I said, I can't speak to that in terms of them thieving it and put it on and build a fingerprint and then put it on the device. We might reach there, but in terms of now a show we see it on, so I can't talk about show in the class. We have to talk about what is research and what is being practiced. All right. All right. All right. Card and card reader compatibility, right? Some cards are only compatible with certain readers. For example, SensorProx card will only work with SensorProx readers, right? This is basically how the manufacturers set it so that you will always come back to buy their device. For example, I'm going to give you a quick example of another type of device. When the whole aspect of COVID came out and everybody was building their sanitizer devices, right? What they did was actually some companies, they build their device and they build proprietary software that they put in there. If you don't use their battery, right, so they are source, then it will not work, right? If you don't use their sanitizer, it will not work. So they put something, I don't know if it's the content or the fluidity of the liquid, their sanitizer. So, but these are ways how they protect their sale. So if you want, and normally these devices are the more expensive type, right? So we're talking about like Pro Sensor Pro cards only working with Sensor Pro readers, then we're talking about probably the higher class and higher end card readers and compatibility. Right, so as an engineer, these are things that you would consider when you're going into manufacturing, whether we're going to build a thing just to work with our device, or you build it so you can have a substitute device, right? So this is one thing. Like for instance, when you're doing software engineering, that will be not software, reliability engineering. This is one thing you look at when you're doing these type of engineering disciplines, right? We don't do reliability engineering at UTech, but it looks at how you develop your device, whether you are going to make it be a standalone device, whether it only utilizes your technology, right? Or you can have a substitute. So all of this will take in consideration when you're doing your manufacturing and your process, right? Now, a lot of time these are protected by patents and that you cannot violate, because if you violate it, then you become liable, right? Can be found a lot of money, right, that you need to pay. But again, Jamaicans tend to try to bypass these systems so we can utilize other stuff. And why I say this to say what I'm about to say to you. Like a couple months ago, I think last year, they have a sanitizer device. Somebody asked me to look at a sanitizer device, right? The device has two power sources. There is one that is a DC power source that run the battery, and there is one like a little what should I say, a drinks cover, right? It looks like a battery, a little small, that you plug into the device. Now, the problem is that after a while, what they did, they had to buy a refill, and the refill costs a lot of money. It won't work. What they were doing was actually dismantling the bottle, filling it with their own sanitizer, and then put it on a machine. But they realized that after that bottle finished, they can't get another refill. So I went now, along with some other persons. We look at the device. When we look at the device, I ask them for one of the battery. That's the one that looks like a cover. And when I plug it into the device and trigger the sensor, we see it work. I'm gonna say, but you guys said these are the bad one, them no good, and it costs so much money. I think is about $8,000 Jamaican dollars to replace one of it, right? And I'm saying, but so them said no money, but on it, it never works. So we test a few of them and realize that it's being triggered. So me now take that little device and put it on the oscilloscope, and I realize that it's generating a signal. This signal is sinusoidal in nature. Well, I shouldn't say sinusoidal, it's a square wave in nature, right? But it have an overlay when it's in the device and it trigger the device, because what I didn't know was try to get a signal generator to replicate the signal, connect it to the device, but I realized that it's telling me that the source, the battery pack is not connected. So I said, but the thing not go low, not swinging low, meaning it's supplying enough current, right? The signal match up, but we realize that there's an overlaid signal. So when you put it on a spectrum analyzer, you realize that there's more than one signal combined to give you that signal. So while I was just producing the signal, what the overlay to give, the device was not triggering because I did not use a proper combination to get that signal. So eventually I couldn't do it. So they must have eventually buy the refill, and when the refill come, they send a new battery pack with that refill so that they can use that particular refill. Right? So it's the same thing with the card technology. They're going to send the cards, and if you buy some set of blank card and try to program them to use with a card reader, it's not going to work. Right? So that's basically what we're talking about, compatibility. We can't just go and buy another type of card reader because it's much cheaper than the one that we actually buy the system for. Right? Now, what is WGAN standard? Right? It is communication protocol between the readers and the controllers, right? So this is a protocol that is established. We're not going to get into it much, right? Most proximity, biometric, and wireless readers are WGAN compatible, right? The standard format is 26 bits long, right? So that's basically the most readers, card readers, yes, they do have a standard, and the manufacturers will follow this standard. But again, they'll put something in there that you cannot use one device with the next, right? All right. So this is basically an overlay of our access control system. So we have a software. So this is our computer. This is where this will be located at the security operations. Right, we have our controller. So this is really the brain of the system. And then we have the door overlay here, right? Also the controller in most systems will be at the security operation. So they'll connect it over LAN operation to another device at the local operation, right? So at the local operation, they'll have another controller, right? And they have one that the computer is connected to at the security operation. So the two controllers will talk to each other, right? And tell to program like cards and so forth. So you don't necessarily have to go to the security operation in some cases for them to program your card, you know. You can just scan it by the scanner, the reader, and they see they are able to see your scanner, the security operation, and program your card for access control, right? So the technology changes. You don't have to go and say, boy, you need them to program. Once they get the memo, then just call you a lot of time on the extension and just say, all right, swipe your card at door X at your office. So you go and swipe it, you see it come up red, and say, all right, no problem, man. After a couple minutes, they say, swipe it again, bam, and you get access, right? This is where the technology is at, right? You have your door overlay, so you have the hardware, you have the magnetic locks, you have the buzzer, right? And the door reader, right? So we look further how they are organizing system. Now, access control operation, right? Both the reader and the electronic locking device are connected to the controller. The controller now is programmed via the PC. Remember, I tell you that them can stay at them office and operate it. The information programmed into the door controller include the unique card reader or number, right? So your device, if you were to look at your UTech ID at the back, it have a number there, right? You either can give them that number, but there are cases where that number rub off, so you can scan it and they can retrieve the number, right? Access rights and time zones applicable to that card, so they can set when your card will deactivate and they can set when your card is activated, right? So they have to put in all of that. So like what they normally do for your UTech card, they'll tie in your deactivation point. If you have access to a particular room, like for instance, the JPS Power Lab, at the end of your expiry date on your ID, you will lose access automatically. So sometimes they tie it to the expiration date of your ID, right? So once your ID expire, for instance, if my ID expire next month, I have to go and take another ID and renew, and they just renew my access control. If I was unable to think that, I would have to give a good reason, probably with memo, for them to extend my access control, right? So that's basically how they can control these devices.
If you lose the ID, what they would do is to generate a new ID and shut down any information regarding that lost ID.
Yeah, if you lose your ID. So that's why they always tell you to report lost ID. Even your workplace, if you, that's why most time them take away your ID when they let you go, because sometimes they don't the date on the ID in terms of access control, as I said, is tied to your expiration date for your ID. But suppose them let you go tomorrow and your ID never expire till next week. You can come back in at the night, you know, or send somebody in at the night to move out everything out of the people in place. Right? So that is why most of the time they tell you to leave your ID. Right? So, and when you report your debit card, is the same thing. They just go and shut down the profile for that card and the card won't work. Right? So it's similar concept. Now,
So in the event, sir, if you don't know that your card lost, because sometimes people lost their ID and don't even realize, including their debit card, and therefore
that's why
there was no need for them to report it.
Yeah, but you never hear some people say, why you think when you watch all of these videos where them circulate with the bad card readers, what them actually do is just pull the data off of your card and just clone it in a magnetic strip and just access your account. So if your card lost, right, and these sophisticated, right, persons are able to pull your information from your card, such as your PIN and all of that. Because remember, your PIN is coded into the card, you know. Right? So then pull your PIN and all of this, because them have the card reader. All them does just got the ATM and empty your account. Right? So it's bad when you don't know where your card lost, and probably somebody who knows somebody who can gain access to it, right? So that's basically one way. But what they are doing now is actually tracking a lot of times, like for instance, a new credit card, they'll track progress, right? Meaning as they go and swipe your card and use it, it sends you a text to your phone that your card is being used. Right? This is one way to mitigate against lost cards. But the person can just go and make one big purchase and done your money. But again, the bank, you ever say your card is lost and you have access to your card, them can probably pull camera from the location. But you have to go through a whole investigation process before them accept liability and pay back your money. All right? So that's a whole security process. Yes, Mr. Fredo?
No, I was saying,
Okay. Yeah, and so it could way, that's why I only keep my card in a particular location at home. If my card move out of where me put it at home, I have to search the place, you know. And then I go blame my wife and say she move my card. Not good to do, guys. Don't do what I do. Alright? But
most husbands do.
yeah.
So most husbands do when they can't find anything, they blame the wife.
Yeah,
I do it too.
Not a good thing to do. But so if in the morning, you know, my card and my wallet, you know, there, when we put it, can we put them one place, something I'm gonna get left, you know, can we mind those programs that take up card, take up wallet, take up office key and move. Right? Same way. Even if somebody go in on my wallet, I'm always tell person, if it go in on my wallet and shift something, I know, because I pack it a particular way. Even when I put in back my card, I put it a particular way. If it move, I know say it move, right? So again, it's always good to keep track. Well, that just me, or me keep track of my stuff, right? So if it miss them, I know right away, say, listen, this thing I miss, I need to call the bank. Right? I might make 2 checks before I call the bank, but it now gonna take me long to realize it missing. All right. So, all right. Come back to the door operation. We talk about use a request to exit button. That's on the door. Use another reader on the same door, known as a read in and read out. Some doors will have that. So rather than have the button, you have to buzz when you are going out again in terms of your access control. We have that bit down by the power lab where you have the door between the the power electronics room and the main power lamp. Both sides of that door have card readers, right? So to go in, you have to scan, and to come out, you have to scan, right? So this is one way we're talking about read in and read out. Use mechanical angles. Basically, that's basically when the door access is not out of service. Use a break glass unit, right? So we'll come to these further on. All right. So this is basically a typical layout of your access control system. So you have the break glass unit, right? We don't use them much out here, right? Double pole break glass unit should be always installed on the ingress side, right? Egress side, not ingress, egress side of the door, as this will provide immediate local release, right? However, for our doors, some of our doors that have this mechanism, we normally use a push bar. You can use a push bar to disengage it, right? Which is actually breaking the circuit and release the electromagnetic lock, right? So like for fire escape doors and so forth, they can use it, right? The exit button, everybody should be familiar with exit button nowadays, right? Once you go into a store and coming out, you either press the exit button or they have to buzz you out. The button that is there actually give them a signal to buzz you out, right? So all they have done is actually move the exit button and put it in one location that is controlled by the persons in the store, right? So rather than putting it on the door, they put it that they have to let you out, right? And it's actually put on the inside or the egress side of the door. Anybody know what egress mean? Anybody just explain what egress mean? I've been using it, but some persons might don't know what I mean when I say the egress side of the door. Anybody? Anybody know what egress mean? Huh? I can't believe. Yeah?
Sir, just mean like when
What is it, sir?
The
Sorry about
egress,
that.
what is the egress side of the door?
The what?
Egress. So we're talking about the egress side of the door.
probably the outside part.
No, it can't be the egress mean exit. Right? So we're talking about the exit side, the side where you move to exit out of the area, the secured area. Right? So for instance, if you're in the store would be your egress side, right? Outside would be the side where you enter the store, but inside the store is where you want to secure, so it's going to be your egress side. Egress meaning to exit, right? The official meaning is a place of or means of going out, right, or exit. The action or right of going or coming out, right? So basically it's the side that they use to exit the store, right? So that's our egress side of the store. Door contact, so showing you the door contacts here, right? Monitoring the door status is essential to allow the user to know if the door has been left open or forced open. A lot of doors don't have this one, the door contact installed, right? What they do is just have the magnetic lock. No, in a highly secure system, you will definitely need to have a door contact, right? This actually tells the person or the operator, the security post, if the door is open. So like when you're watching a show, again, I come back to show because a lot of you probably not see a control room, right? When you're watching a show and you see the door open and they get a light in the control center, a flashing light or a button or something to say that a door is open, this contact is what send that signal, right? So it send the signal to, so if somebody actually forced and was able to break the magnetic circuit, because this signal is independent of the magnetic circuit, it will tell them that the door is open, right? So it will tell them that somebody forced open the door, broke into the building, and they need to investigate, and they might alert security to that location. But this is when we're talking about highly secured spaces. All right, the magnetic lock, which everybody would see on the door by now, or should be familiar with a magnetic lock, all right, electromagnetic lock, right, is required to lock and release the door. Many versions and types are available depending on the door and application, right? So we can get them. Now, you see that little part here right over here? For persons we see in the arrow, this is where the circuit is. So inside here, there is a circuit, and that's why I have this little blank cover on the magnetic lock. It's all into place by some countersink screws. If you were able to remove it, then you will see the circuitry inside, right? What do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Right, good. So again, moving on. So this is the outside view now. So we look at inside view. So the outside view of the place, the space that we want to protect. So this is the inside view, you know, because we want to protect inside what is inside here. So you have the button where you can release and come out, because once a person is in here, what you are saying is that they were authorized to enter so them can exit. That's not always the case though. Yeah, but that is what they have in planned right from the beginning. All right, so this is the outside or the outside view of the door. This is where you see the card reader, and I want to enter this office. So all I'll do is just put my proximity card, right? And it will give me access to the secured space, right? So that's why this is saying the non-secured side of an access control door. Now, I put here that the keypad is optional because it is, right? To put the door angle should be permanently locked or on or disabled, right? So this is basically the outside view. Now, I'm going to show you about the inside view just to show you what every one of these devices are. Right, again, I would say the free egress, meaning free exit, right? That is basically the button here, right? So once I press the button in this particular situation, it will release the door on the magnetic lock. And we are showing you the break glass unit here that is used in most systems. All right, so this is the inside view when you have a card reader here. All right, so if you want to see one like this, you can, this setup is by the Power Lab again, where you have an inside card reader and an outside card reader, right, for easy access. All right, ways that we communicate using access control. Everybody by now, at this stage in your engineering career, at some point you would have heard about IP and TCP. Probably most person would have known about IP or your port, right? The internet port or your internet protocol and so forth, right? But this is basically what we mean by that. The access control software can send and receive. So we are saying that if you have a TCP or IP port, it can both send and receive signal. It's a two-way communication network, right? Now, this network is either installed over existing network, which is much cheaper to accomplish. All you need to probably do is, if you don't have any space on your network, all you need to do is expand the I get lost a while ago. Expand your ports by changing your internet device and equipment, right? So you would change it out to add more ports. So if you have a 12-port switch, you'll change it to probably an 18-port, right, and so forth. So it's easier to do than actually run a separate circuit for your security network. Now, Two such network is your LAN or your local area network, or your WAN, which is your wide area network. Now, we're not going to get in network because we're not doing a computer class. You just need to be familiar with your LAN network and your WAN network. Now, the advantages of this system is the ability to install the control equipment over many locations. So everywhere you have a switch, you can run from that switch, and it would be a shorter distance from the switch to where you want to install your access control, right? Without the need of dedicated cables and containment. Hence, we save costs because it will incorporate costs if we need to run all of these circuits, such as putting up chunkings or probably or putting up conduits and all of these other stuff. It will cost more for labor costs as well as material, right? Now, one thing to consider when you are doing this type of system is that you must incorporate the information technology persons, because they would be in charge of the local area or the wide area network, right? So you cannot do this by yourself. You have to incorporate these persons, right? Unless you are a network person, you work both in the network department as well as the electrical department, right? Because you have some persons that know we are changing your degree to electrical and computer engineering. So at some point, if you had made your selection and look at computer-based control systems and so forth, you'd have learned about your LAN and your WAN networks and how to set up your networks, right? So and this is why we have changed the degree to reflect what is happening in society. Now, the RS-485 network, right? The access control software can send and receive information similar to that of the TCP/IP network using a dedicated cable running from controller to controller and back to the PC, right? So over this network, you'll run a dedicated line. Now, the advantage of this network is the fact that it allows full control of the system without IT involvement. Again, I would want to involve IT because most of the time they can monitor the thing rather than of security operation. Because if you have a corrupt security manager, and that is why and again we'll come back to what's happening in the movies. Sometimes you see people buy out the security personnel, or them kidnap them, or them kidnap them family, because these persons have total control of the system, right? So basically, to involve other teams will actually help if you involve the network administrator, for instance. And not everybody in the network or the IT would have access, only the network administrator, right? Wireless, yes, this is when we're talking about having your wireless routers and so forth, right? And it also uses the TCP/IP protocol or the RS-485 protocols, right? So this wireless technology will incorporate both these networks. And you have seen them doing this over UTech, I think, last 2 years. For the last 2 years, they are increasing our Wi-Fi capability, and even some of the access control is done via Wi-Fi communication, right? So that is one aspect. Now, the key advantage of this is that it eliminates the need for cabling between controllers and server. Now, consideration must be given to distances. I think they say, well, I don't know, but if you talk to the network persons, they'll tell you the range. I don't remember. I had it one time, but I don't remember the range of these signals, right? But it varies. But it varies within a certain band to reduce like noise factors and so forth, right? So to have a good signal, even though the device might say 100 meter, they don't normally put it on 100 meter. You have some overlay of the two radius, right? So the IT people would know that, have more information. All right, so the server. The server, as shown, is basically the access control software works with a database. So you'll have a SQL server and so forth in place, right? And you will probably run, and some might be of the MS Access type, right? So the type of server will determine how you set up your system. Now the workstation, right? This is basically where the managers or the security operation personnel will work from our computers, right? And you have your controllers and so forth. Now, whether a system is a standalone or PC-based is very important. Remember, I told you before that a long time, couple years ago, systems were independent of monitoring, but in today's society, because of what is happening with technology, PC-based is the way to go. That does not mean that standalone systems are not being utilized, right? For instance, I had recently made a request for them to put a standalone system at the lunchroom. So rather than put a PC-based or a network-based system, you don't necessarily need to monitor the lunchroom that closely, right? But so it will cost more to implement the network-based rather than the standalone base. Now with the standalone base, the controller would be mounted in a box. Now what they do is actually mount a box in your local environment, and then they'll go and they either can program it from a PC and take it there, right? Because they would have the controller data and so they'll have it on the PC, program the card, and then you can go to this location and scan in, or they can make it work with a keypad that only work with the devices at that location. So you just punch in the number and you gain access rather than make it a network based or a card based, right? So depending on what the customer want or how much the customer want to spend, this will determine the type of system. This will drive the type of system that you install, right? You notice that always come down to spending. So everything in society always come back to spending. As again, I tell you again that you can have the best system that money can buy, right? Once you have the money. Good. But again, you have to look with the budget that you have to work with. And you have to also, some of the time it will work with the available equipment, right? But if you're talking about availability of all of the necessary or the different equipment and systems, then it comes back down to money, right? What is the client willing to spend, right? So it always will come down to that. Now, this is basically methods. So I'll give you a screenshot of a typical access group and show you how they program it, right? So it's very difficult to see though. When you get the presentation, you probably can zoom it up and you see it. But this is basically an example. We will not be required to do all of these programming sometimes. Most of the time, our job is really to understand how the system works, right? Some person might get job in control or electronics, right? And would definitely learn to use the system, but they'll teach you to use the system that they have, right? And show you the different access groups and so forth. So terminologies, we have anti-pass block, right? And in an anti-pass block is used to increase the level of security in a building by not allowing users to tailgate, right? So tailgate are like when you got a toll, right? And you don't want to pay the toll like for the taxi man them, right? And then each a ride behind another vehicle that have a tag and tailgate, right? So that's basically what they mean by tailgating, that in this system, they try to not allow tailgating. Right? Example, if someone tailgated and ended up in an area, so them show you C, so them tailgate and end up in a C, right? Then try and exit using exit reader, right? C, so them are try to exit, the system will not allow this transaction. So it means that them have an ID, you know, but because the person hold the gate, the door, they went in, but when they are coming out back now, their ID not allowing them to buzz out, right? And this is a situation where we talk about high level of security, right? So each and every person. So in this situation, you are trained, you know. So they will tell you that when A goes in, yeah, allow the device to close or the door to close, or the whatever it might be. It might be a access lift or something like that. Allow it to close, then you buzz in, right? Because without this, if you are the only person that will leave in this office in the evening, then you have to wait till morning before somebody come and let you out, right? Or you have to call the security control operation and them have to tell us, you know what you are supposed to do, but you will never do it. So it might they might sanction you, they might give you a suspension or whatever they tend to use to punish you, right? Now, considerations of this system. You will need to have readers on both sides of the door. It is recommended that this feature is used hand on hand with physical barriers like turnstiles, right? If not used correctly, it can cause serious disruption to the operation of the site, right? So it means when you're ready to go to another point, so for instance, you tailgate and come into B, you might not be able to go to C because you did not buzz in at A, right? So these are the things that they are talking about. All right, and we have come to the end of our lesson today. Any question, guys? Any question?
No, sir.
Any question? So today is not a long class, right? So we're not go to the 2 hours as usual, but we finish access control. Now, guys, yes, access control should be coming on the test because it's part of the electrical system. So that's why it's so short and spicy, right? So on your test, you'll be doing unit 1 and unit 2, remember, which covers safety at work and electrical systems, right? So electrical systems goes up to access control. So today is our final class on electrical systems based on our outline, right? So next week we'll begin our mechanical systems. Just a few, I will not take you for the entire 2 hours next week. We'll use an hour out of the class so as to give persons time to complete their tests at 2 o'clock, right? So we'll go from 12 to 1. Persons can break, refresh, get some food, right? And then ready and waiting for 2 o'clock. It's a time paper. So when the time expires, it is going to lock you out of the system, right? So you need to work. Huh?
Wait there, sir. That one they go over my head. Where, sir?
No, I'm saying the test is timed, right?
Yeah.
So as to minimize collaboration for the test, and I say collaboration because I know people have a group up, right? But that's not my concern. My concern is that at 3 o'clock, to say, or 1 hour from the start of your test, right? And that's why I'm going to just keep you for 1 hour because there should not be any excuse that I keep you long, I'm going to keep you right up until 2 o'clock and then you have to start test 2 o'clock, right? I'll keep you up to the time for the 1 hour. allow you time to refresh and relax your brain and ready for your test. And then when you start your test now and 1 hour elapses, the paper is going to automatically lock you out and submit. What do you understand?
Yes, sir. So
you need
the time for the I came on late. So the time for the test is a change from 5 to 2.
no man. Oh, you came in late. Oh, me did
Yeah.
cover that at the beginning of the class. All right, for persons who came in late, based on what I have been getting emails from persons having issue with having the test this Thursday at 5. So what I've decided, we are going to have 2 sittings. The first sitting is going to be next week, Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So that's during your tutorial time for persons who have tutorial Tuesday, 2 o'clock. And Thursday at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock for persons who have tutorial on Thursday. You get that?
Yes, sir.
The test is going to run for 1 hour. So it's going to be a 1 hour test.
All right.
Cool. The format of the test is multiple choice, true and false, short answers, and short answers and it finished there. So the format is multiple choice, true and false, short answers. The official platform that is the test is going to be administered on is your Moodle platform. Right? That's your official platform. If for any reason you have issues with Moodle, meaning say persons can have issues with software and is a network, right? You need to contact me by email or call me. It's better you'd send email, right? And then I'm put a number so I can call you most likely, right? And make arrangements for you to do your tests. And that is in the extreme cases where you don't have any access to Moodle, right? So I said this Friday, which is the 12th of the 2nd, you should make contact if you're having problems with Moodle, because I need time to prepare to give you your test by alternative means, right? So don't come Tuesday, Monday and say you don't have access to Moodle, you know. The only way you might not have access to Moodle is probably if you don't have the internet, right? So you have 2 sittings. You have Tuesday. So if you miss Tuesday, you need to go to Thursday. But if you do it Tuesday, when you go Thursday, you're not going to be able to access it. It will lock you out and say you have completed this task. Everybody understand? So you only can have 1 attempt. You good? Everybody understand? So
Yes,
your
sir.
attempt is either, because you might have tutorial Tuesday, no, but you feel like you want to do it Thursday, right? So that is the case, right? So again, next week Tuesday, 2 o'clock, or next week Thursday at 5 o'clock. Everybody clear?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
All right, good.
Thursday is my tutorial.
Yeah, man. And it covers both